Hi, listeners. Welcome back to the Jungle Brothers podcast, or maybe it's your first time. This is episode 60. I'm here with Tiora Ward.
Hi there.
And Coach Aaron Howley.
Hello, hello.
He is a coach here. Hi, Az. Coach here at the gym. How many years have you been here for now?
About 2 now.
2 now.
Coming up on 2, yeah. Full time.
He's a handsome, tall man. He hails from the Great Ireland.
The Great Land.
From the Great Land,
yeah.
yeah.
Emerald Isle.
The Emerald Isle.
The Emerald Isle.
And he's one of the head coaches here. He's a community leader. You've been here for years, and we just love you, mate.
Just
Yeah. Joe's not with us today. We're having a bit of a catch up. I mean, what with COVID and all, we don't really see each other face to face all that often anymore. We see each other, coaches, Dev, and all that sort of thing, but it's just not the same. So. Bit of Zoom,
the virtual world.
Yeah, so a bit of a catch-up today, but we want to chat around training during COVID, during lockdown, with a coach, without a coach, the ins and outs, the pros and cons, and a little bit about just the mechanisms and chatting about the shortfalls and the good things about it and the bad things and the experiences that we've all had in the last 6 weeks or whatever it is now. Yeah. So, what is it? We've just got into May now. The doors shut here at our gym on the 23rd of March. So it's been over a month. We've got our classes happening online. We've got the full schedule. And they're all on offer for our members. As far as personal training goes for us, and we all coach here in the gym, running the timetable with the group coaching and whatnot. But we also have our own personal training businesses and our own clients and stuff like that. So that changed. We were allowed, it kind of got cut off in parts, and it's all boiled down to basically us only being able to train people one-on-one, respecting social distancing and sanitation recommendations, one-on-one, and not even in the gym. Like, we had to go to the park, did we not?
Yeah.
And that was a bit of a shift for everyone. Tell us about it. I know you and I have been down at the same parks. There was a bit of a time there where we were like, what park are you going to? And it was like trying to figure out which one was the best park.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was something that was brand new for me because I'd never trained anyone from the park before. Until this all started. So I didn't even know what park to go to or where the good spots were or any of that. So that was all, it was all just trying to find that stuff out as quick as I could. And mainly hitting you up and the guys, because you had done it a bit more.
A little tiny bit, but like you, I had the silver spoon. I walked straight into JB's.
Yeah.
And I had the roof over my head, whereas Joe and Tiora, I gather yourself as well back in the day. You were coaching people in the park. So there's a lot of there's little things that we were chatting about, one,
dog shit.
Dog shit, that's right.
Dog shit everywhere.
Dog shit everywhere.
People clean up their dog shit.
Yeah, there's the fact that I went out to the park. There's weather.
Creeks and bushes.
Freaking mosquitoes on dusk.
Yeah, well, mozzies.
Mozzies, yeah. And then there was it getting dark, almost pitch black halfway through my last session. And I was the first time I was down, I was I'll do a couple of sessions. I'll start at 5:30. Come 6:30 session, by 7, it was just crickets are out, and it was
I had a good solution for the dark. Yeah, my little A-frame light that I got from Bunnings.
You came up to speed pretty quick.
Yeah, well, because when we first started training from the park, I actually really enjoyed it. For the first, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks, I was this is great. I'm outside a lot more, out in the sun training. It was still warm. The evenings were still somewhat long, and then probably in the last week, and definitely in the last week, 2 weeks, it started to get darker a bit early.
Yeah.
So I've had to make that adjustment it basically meant that my last sort of hour and a half of work was in the pitch dark. So so I just got a little light from Bunnings, which cost me $80, and it's just a rechargeable portable light. It's forever. You can charge it in your car, and it's really bright. So I just set that up when it gets dark, and that lets me continue to train. So it's
got the UE boom speaker down there. few trims?
Sometimes, yeah, on and off. So sometimes I do, and sometimes I just go with the no music vibe as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been nice to be outside. I transitioned some clients. I haven't been able to take on as many as pre-COVID, just because of the new adjustments we had to make, being at home a little bit more, and the business pivot and whatnot. But yeah, the ones that I have taken over, it's been delightful to be out there in the mornings, and just be out in the open. Like, I really love that, and also for my own training to be outdoors. Sometimes on Wednesday mornings I'm out there, and it's been really nice.
Yeah,
really nice.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
it's good. I mean, that's a good transition for people that are using PT already, or if they have the money for one-to-one coaching. But as soon as you get over like one, I think we could take two now, potentially two.
maybe.
Take two.
I'm not sure.
I
I think.
No one really knows.
Yeah,
what the
I
rules
think
are.
it's still one, but you can have two people to a house now. But
Two,
I don't think that.
but not in the
I don't
park.
think you can train two. You can train two people if they're from the same household.
Yeah,
That's right.
I'm doing it. I'm starting next Friday with one particular couple. Yeah, we'll be respectful, and I mean you spoke to council, and it's been the same story I've gotten from anyone, which is kind of like, it's so grey. It comes down to the police officer's mood on the day,
pretty much. Yeah.
and whether they've come off a night or not, and also whether or not
Whether
he
you're being
perceives you to be taking the piss or not.
Yeah.
And I'm a respectful guy. I'm not going to be, doing crazy shit. So I think I'll be fine, and I'm a sweet talker. And look at this face, man. Come on.
Push it.
Come on.
Well, that's you got your one, you got your one-on-one, you got when you can't afford one-on-one, you got other options, and the other options are you can train by yourself, or you can go online, which is pretty much what we've been transitioning into very
Small
quickly.
group.
Yeah, we did the old fast adaptation, and I think once we made the decision that we were going to adapt into an online system, the whole time Az was in the background working on his online offering at the same time, because Aaron works for himself within our gym as a subcontracting coach. Obviously he takes classes, but he runs his own business within our business, and there in the background we were watching him do very similar stuff to what we were doing, probably on a smaller, faster scale, but you move quick. So what did you end up accomplishing over the last, what's it been, a month now, hasn't it?
4 to 6.
Yeah, it's
4 to
probably been a
6
bit
weeks.
more. Yeah, so gym closed 23rd of March.
Yeah, and then
You
what
said,
happened?
yeah, so-
You made the decision to.
Well, basically it was like sink or swim, because I mean, the majority of my clients or my income would come from a small group. Like when I say majority, it's probably like a little bit over, maybe 60% or something like that. But it's a good chunk of my weekly income comes from my small groups, which I ran here 3 times a week in the evenings.
And that consists of about 4 to 6. Kind of thing.
Yeah, I have 4 in each. So basically, a group of 4 people that train 3 times a week for an hour. And so that was my big thing, was like, how do I keep those guys training, and how do I keep providing the service for those guys? Because I'm not, initially when we had to train from the park, it was fine because we were able to train in groups of 10 or less. So that was fine. So the small group kept going for a week or a week and a half, and then it stopped. So then while we were in the park, I was starting to work on the online already, so that because I knew it was coming, we all knew it was coming, that it would be reduced to 1-to-1. So I was just preparing for that basically, and I just sort of dived straight headfirst into it. I didn't know too much about, I'm not very tech savvy or anything like that, so there was a lot of like reading up and sort of educating myself on the basics of just video and editing and all that. And I was lucky that I got a camera a decent camera a few months ago for my birthday, so that worked out well. And basically just got into the gym, and I never really spoken in front of a camera either. Like, that was a big thing for me. But it's funny when you're put in that situation where it's like you don't really have a choice. You just have to do it.
Step up.
Yeah, so I just done it, and then it was fine. So basically just had a few big days of filming where I'd write down a bunch of movements that I wanted to get done, and I'd done that for a few days, and then spent a few more days editing all of them and done it all myself. So at the end of it all, basically, I've got a full online software like platform now that I use, and I have over 100 videos, like exercise tutorials, uploaded onto that, that are all done by me. And then there's other ones that came free with it, but they're so bad. So
Just ask those ones.
yeah, they're terrible. So yeah, I've just recorded like I've over 100 now. I've had to set up a YouTube channel, uploaded them all to there. Obviously edited them all, and made them look nice.
What's the app? There's probably some PTs who are listening.
The software I use,
Yeah.
the one I use is called Trainerize.
Right.
Trainerize, yeah. Not mad about the name, but it's actually really good. And I know another PT that I know. He uses it, and he's quite successful in the online realm. So I messaged him like before I got it, and I was like, would you recommend it? And he was like, yeah, highly recommend it. So so far I'm finding it really good. It's not perfect, like especially for what we do. It's sort of more geared towards like your typical, I guess, like fitness program, but it still works, and it is good. You can it syncs up with your MyFitnessPal. So if a couple of the people I'm working with are interested in, like, one of their goals is to lose weight or to lose fat. So it links up with MyFitnessPal, so you can track your food. I can see that how you're tracking your food. If you've got a smartwatch, it syncs up to that as well, so you can see how much like sleep and how you can see all the workouts you're doing, and it gives you lots of information.
And the MyFitnessPal link.
And also it's good. Like, it gives you graphs as well, so you check in weekly with your weight, and then after a month or 6 weeks, you can start to see where the if you're losing weight, you can see that's start to drop, and so it's cool. You can see your progression there. But yeah, basically, just dive straight in, videoed, filmed a lot of videos, got that all set up. Had to set up like PayPal and stuff just to be able to take overseas payments, because I've signed up 2 people now in Ireland that are training with me.
Man, great.
Hopefully
more to come. But yeah, there's a load of stuff that goes into it. Lots and lots of work. Like, it doesn't sound probably like too much, but it's just all the little things, like getting the PayPal set up, getting the YouTube channel set up, buying the software, uploading all the videos,
Shooting a
filming,
video,
editing.
figuring sound out, editing. Oh God.
That's it. And then learning how to do all that.
Yeah.
Initially,
on the fly.
So
I must say, I'm also very impressed with like watching you just flip, and we were doing all of it, and because we know what it takes to do all that, like you just doing that on your own, like you were really always been an action taker, and I always see you as taking, like continuing to invest in your own self and your own business. You get programming from people. You're not afraid to spend money on an app or a camera, which I think you bought the camera before this all went down. Is that right?
Yeah, I got it for my birthday in January.
Yeah, you've done really well. And then to get all the videos on, I mean, there was 2 weeks plus there that you were just hammering away to get it to a point. You're just trying to fill out movements in the programs, and then you knew that once you got to that point, you could just add on with less intensity. Like, those first 2 weeks were crazy.
That's it. I basically just done a lot of work to cover myself for, like, say, I've enough there to get everybody through like at least sort of 2 phases of training, and then I've got all the main stuff done, like the popular movements that we prescribe a lot at the time, and then obviously other ones as well. But yeah, basically over 100, so there's a fair few there like to work with, and then but there's still lots more to do, and I'll just add to that, like, sort of week by week, and whenever I get the chance.
So if you are doing a like customized programming for someone, you said you film a lot of the main movements that you use, because we know there's a lot of common denominators when it comes to building strength and mobility and whatnot. Is it the case where if someone comes to you and they need like different movements that you haven't quite filmed, you film them kind of as you go, as you give them those programs, and continue building your video library from there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, just to get it like the other day I needed a stretch that I hadn't filmed, and I needed to send it to one of the guys in Ireland, and so on the online platform it has an option just to, like, you can do a 1 minute video through your phone or whatever. So I just done that just to, it's not, it's not ideal, but it's just enough to show him what I want him to do, and I've just told him to add it into his program. So but that would be one of the ones now that I'll film that properly next time I'm in front of the camera. I'll film that properly and edit it, and then it'll be in there forever. But yeah, so there's like been a few times there where I've been looking for an exercise and I don't have it in my library, so I'll just set up the phone and just shoot them through a little 1 minute video, just explaining it.
So
And
cool.
that does the job, yeah.
How are you finding people? How many people do you reckon you've got online now? You've got the people who are local to here that you legally can't be together with, and you got a few overseas.
I've got 11 altogether.
11.
Yeah.
How are they finding? How have they taken to it?
Pretty, like, so a little bit of a mixture. Like some of them, because I've got 8 from my small group who just went straight onto it. So yeah, they were all up for. Sorry, 7. One of them wasn't interested in doing the online thing, so he's just doing his own thing. But everyone else went onto it, and yeah, a little bit of a mixed bag. But the majority of people, I'd say like 80% of them, have like gotten straight into it and have been really interactive, and like they've used the app the way it's supposed to be used, and I can see them that they're hitting their workouts regularly, and they're leaving comments on the workouts, and they're uploading videos for me to check their form and whatever. And then other, like a couple of guys probably just aren't really into it that much, like aren't into the tech side of it that much.
Yeah.
And I find they're still doing, like, I'll maybe haven't heard from them in a few days, so I'll like check in with them, and they're like, no, I am doing the workout. I just haven't like sort of checked in with the app. And so yeah, it looks like they're not doing anything, but they actually are. So then and that's obviously it'll just take them a while to sort of get used to like using it every time they train. But yeah, the majority of people have just adapted to it.
That's cool.
I've always struggled recording stuff for myself. I'm good at doing it for my clients, but I've never done it. I don't do it for myself.
Yeah,
it's really, I always tell myself I'm going to do it, and then I put my programs together, and I'm like, I got to put my shit in, and then I just don't.
Yeah.
I'm probably the same. Yeah.
Do you mean when you have to check in with a coach, like
checking
when
in
you're doing online training, or just
in reps and sets and recording the workout and stuff that you kind of do with your PT, but you think, I should be doing this for myself. And find that I don't do it.
Yeah.
That's true.
I understand that.
I might do the weights a little bit more than everything else, but it's a little. I think everyone should do it. So if you're listening,
totally.
people at JBs, you should definitely be recording everything. But I was going to say, it's kind of a little different. I know for yourself, because you train every single day and you know where you are from one day to the next. Like, you've got a very high awareness, I would say, as opposed to people who are training on a very specific program that they do 3 times a week. And that's like, Aaron's taking care of my interests there, so I just have to invest my 1 hour 3 times a week. And then they forget about it largely in between, like, generally speaking. So it is important, but, you're onto it. You know every fibre is in your body.
Not a lot changes at this age either.
When you're at the top of the peak there,
cradling the decays and stuff. Down that hill.
Come on.
So we got this. We got our park sessions that we can do now that we're in this quarantine. You've got your programming that you're building for people. That needs an element of discipline, because they still have to find accountability for themselves. I mean, there's a bit there.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's still accountability to you.
Yeah.
But they don't have to turn up.
No.
And see, they're not like, oh fuck, Aaron's going to be there.
Yeah.
I got to get out of bed at 6 a.m. in the morning and get it done.
Yeah.
So someone's relying on me to be turning up on the other end. So you need an element of discipline there, and then you've got to kind of know what you're doing as well. So there's a little less. Would you say there's a little less feedback than say a PT in an environment like that?
Yeah, like, I mean,
they film themselves. And
like, obviously it's a slower it's a slower process, and there's a bit of back and forth, but I find like, because most of the people that are on it, like I think anyone that's doing online training has to have a bit of an idea of what they're doing before they start it. Like if you're brand new, or just very early on in your like training or whatever, like it's probably not the best thing to do. But the way I've set it up, I've tried to set it up as like to make it accessible for those people as well. So like in all the videos that I've filmed, like I've broken everything down just like I would if I was teaching a class or if I was showing it to a face-to-face client. So the quality is there in terms of like the the breaking down of the exercise and the coach. Like I'm literally coaching you through it, but it's just you're watching me through a screen, rather than face-to-face. But yeah, there's
the instant the live feedback that you'd get in a one-to-one or in a coach's environment, which we're now with modern technology and using Zoom the way that we're using it, we can slowly try and bridge that gap. I mean, if you think about this happening, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, that I don't think we'd be able to do what we're doing now. I don't think we'd be able to do it successfully. I just don't think it would be possible. Like Tuesday night, I had 17 people in my Zoom class, and it was fucking like
Bragger.
a lot of stuff going on, and I could give every single person some form of quality feedback on that screen.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing. When you think about it, like how much information is traveling through the air, and that's like people doing meetings all over the fucking world.
Yeah,
there was one person from Holland, and then my mum was on the same class, and she's in Queensland. So it's big distances as well. Like it's not like everyone's in the same neighbourhood. It's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's
the
amazing.
Zoom thing is a good option, even for like, let's say you've got a client that's high risk, can't be around you.
Yeah.
Maybe they're elderly or respiratory issues. You can still coach that person in a one-to-one environment in their own lounge room without having any contact with them.
Yeah.
If you've got the right setup.
Yeah.
So the setup that we've all kind of got a very similar setup, and you're using our setup for taking classes within the gym and also your own. But do you want to talk us through what you would consider, and this is a question for both of you, would be the optimal setup for a coach to be delivering a high quality experience for their members and for their clients?
Well,
like where because I've been looking at a few other products out there, and some of them aren't up to standard, and you can see that they're probably not going to make it if it goes on for too much longer.
Yeah, it kind of depends on the client, and then their goals, and like you said, their experience with training, etc. So you got to kind of weigh all those bits up. I mean, you got those people who can train on a program, and
but what about the actual technical setup, like that you do for a group or a live one-on-one?
Oh well, what we've got downstairs is pretty A1.
Yeah.
Pretty A1. Well, look, we've really bridged the gap between we started with the live stuff, where we were live on Facebook, and people could comment, but it wasn't a two-way face thing. And that's pretty much, that relationship there is very similar to the videos, people watching pre-recorded videos, in the sense that there's no two-way feedback. So pre-recorded videos and videos being sent to clients, they're fantastic, especially if you throw a bunch of knowledge in there and yet you can take the time to coach at a separate time in a little studio space, and you can put all your heart and soul into those videos. They're great. And I think that giving them that to be able to see with their program is incredible, and they can watch it in their own time. They can pause it, go back, where you actually can't do that necessarily when you're when you're in a one-on-one face-to-face. They now have the opportunity to freeze time and then go back, and a lot of people, are afraid to ask, or you're just too busy in the class for sure. But, even in the one-on-one. So I think first and foremost, like those videos and shooting them at a high quality where they can focus on they have to be high quality, because you want less distractions so they can focus on what's important. So, you got to have good sound, good lighting, good resolution type thing. Like that's just a technology thing that is kind of like, I think I consider that as base level.
That's a prerequisite.
Yeah. And what I'm not doing, and I'm not sure if you're doing that with any of your clients, is then doing the one-on-one Zoom session. I think that would be kind of like a bit of like a cherry on the cake. So I send you your program, say, and we've obviously discussed what your goals are, and I've made this thing for you, and I've given you an introduction, an overview to it, and I give you stuff to review and to try out for a week, and then you're off and running. But it'd be really cool to add one-on-one Zoom sessions like once a week or something like that. I haven't implemented that myself. I haven't kind of had to, but that guy in Ireland, or I was thinking maybe the foundation workshops or the screen, you could do one-on-one via Zoom, and that would be where they're required to have a camera and you have your camera. You make sure that you can see them properly, and you have you can take your screen over that, because I know screens they're tough to give to someone to do on their own, especially if they're a new sign up. Hey,
Yeah.
so I think a combination of pre-recorded videos,
Something to geek out on a little bit, and then
and the movements where I can sit in a quiet space and record with all of the knowledge just kind of imparted on that video without all the fluff
technology.
and the conversations in between, like in a one-on-one PT session. Yeah. And then, a combination of that with some one-on-one Zoom. And I'm talking about personal, like from a personal training point of view.
Yeah.
I think that'd be
I
cool.
think that's probably like the best you can do. But I think it's, no matter what you do, it's not going to be as good as like a face-to-face session. But to get it as close to that as possible, I think, like what you said, like deliver the program with a video attached explaining every exercise in detail, and then you take them through the session via Zoom or something similar, and then you can critique them,
VR
if it's
goggles.
needed. If it's needed. That's but then sometimes, like, again, depends on the person, but like most people are okay with it, but there's always like some people who struggle with taking that like verbal cueing.
Yeah.
And you do need to get, like, there's some people where you do need to get a bit more hands on, but yeah, like if people have got experience, especially if they've been training with you for a while, like, and then going into this thing, like they already know.
Yes.
You've already spent the time,
That's
sort of instilling those habits into them, and so they know all the cues more or less already. So it's just a matter of giving them a verbal cue, and they're like, oh yeah. They might forget to do something, but it's just a little verbal cue, and then they'll correct it. Whereas, someone brand new, I don't think it'll work as well, because you haven't built that like foundation.
Yes.
Like you have with the face-to-face clients. But obviously, you can get, depending on the person, I think you can still get close to it. Yeah, you still get close to it. Just going to be slower, and there'll be a few more hurdles, but ultimately I think you'll get there in the end.
There's something to be said about the tactile feedback, just being able to get in there and help people find positions, manipulate them, not in a practitioner sense, but like getting somebody to initiate a certain movement in front of them is so much easier than doing it over a screen.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest challenges is just finding ways of communication with certain individuals, because you might use very technical terms with one person and it works a real treat. It's the only way they really understand it. And then you speak to someone else with the same terms and they're just like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then you say something really simple that might not have anything to do with the human body, and it might be relative to something else, like a symbolic gesture, and then all of a sudden they're like, fuck, why didn't you just say that in the first place? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to find different language for different people. I've found that's been a bit of a challenge, especially in a bigger group.
Totally. I'm definitely finding that at the moment with our group.
But it makes you a better coach, because you take that skill set and you apply that to a live audience. It's fucking great.
It's definitely you have to think carefully about what you say when you're on a screen with 17 people and you're trying to cue one person. Yeah, because it's the whole idea of the right cue for the right person. Whereas, one cue doesn't necessarily work for everyone, as you're saying. So, you have to tread carefully because, like you said, one person might need to hear be more explosive through the hip, and the other person who you've been training with for 8 years, you just need to tell them to stop being a pussy or something like that, you know. And they're like, yeah, okay, I get it. I'm a bit slow through that, or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
It's like you got to tread carefully, or just be more aware of how you deliver it all.
So we've got like 4K camera. It's a good investment. Would you say, or do you think that's overkill? You'd probably go for something a little less extravagant.
Yeah, you could, but it's 4K, bro. I don't even know what that means, guys.
Sounds
4K used to be 3K, something like that. Yeah, you want the best you can afford.
Yeah.
And it future-proofs yourself. That's the beauty of it.
Yes.
Because you can take stills images for your business and
do more video tutorials.
yeah.
Then you want a decent microphone, or just find a coach that's invested in one and borrow his. Just what we've done with ours.
Yes, there's another one coming for you, but it's true. Isn't audio
Once your batteries go on yours,
important?
We'll bring our one in.
Yeah. Battery exhausted.
So good mic setup.
Well, the mic-
Aaron bought the Rode
Wireless Go.
Wireless Go, yeah.
They're hot.
It's been working a treat. That
Yeah.
thing's amazing,
Yeah, it's brilliant.
and it's tiny, and you
And
can
you plug it in the right hole.
plug it in the right hole.
Yeah, because it was
You
but-
get it in the headphone hole instead of the microphone hole.
I must say, audio
Wrong hole.
is so audio is so important.
So yeah, you plug it in the right hole, and then you've got we got some lights. You know?
Yep.
I mean, they're not necessary, but it's always good to be able to see the subject matter that you're filming. We were lucky enough to have friends in the film industry, and one of them lent us some of his older LEDs. But you can actually, I mean, thinking about lighting wherever you are, you don't need a film kit, but you always want to make sure that you're lit well. And I think you take that into consideration on both sides of the camera, because if you're actually coaching someone on the other end and they're just a silhouette, then it's very hard to give them the feedback that's necessary for them. So even just having a little bit of knowledge on how to light a subject is really important. I believe.
Yeah. I think like
100%.
for a lot of people, they probably think it's not necessary, you know. But if you are in that, if you have done it, I mean, even in my short time, like doing a bit of filming and stuff, like it is. I mean, it just makes the content, because ultimately it is still content we're putting out there every day for, you know, whatever it is, 6 hours. So it's like it's a lot of time, and it does just make it look so much better, so much more professional. And
I could talk about
like
lighting all day.
if you've got access to it, use it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and you don't even need to have lights, as T said, but just learning a little bit about how to use it or how to position yourself in a lit area does change the quality of your video.
Yeah,
And
definitely,
the quality of the video, going back to what I said before, is all about essentially you want to get your message across to the viewer. If they have distractions or they're thinking about anything else but what you're trying to impart with them, then you're not doing you're not putting your best foot forward with delivering that piece of information.
Yeah.
So in terms of like having a good camera and good audio, good pixels, and good lighting, it's just all about
It's collective, isn't it?
yeah. And they don't want to notice any of that. They want to be. You want them to be focusing on the thing. And if they're thinking about how shitty it sounds or how I can hardly see him or it's a bit fuzzy, then you're not putting your best foot forward. And for sure, lighting's a big part of that.
It's a full hour, usually, around about a full hour that you're going to be looking at one head, like that coach. You want it to be looking nice, I think that you've got to make the effort.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we've got lighting, and then obviously on the other side, we want to be able to see our subject matter. So the big screen, I think, is fucking necessary, because if you're staring into a computer and your subject matter is like the size, or you're using a mobile phone or something, the screen is too small to give proper coaching feedback. I believe. If it's a one-on-one, it's a bit different. But if you've got like 6 or 7 people in a group, then you definitely need something big. You can take your television from home and take it in the gym and plugging in your camera there. But just find a big screen. I think that's really important.
Yeah, definitely.
Plus, you're not like, putting your head up against the little camera on your fucking laptop. That looks like shit. You got to kind of stare real close to the screen. And you can step back away from your camera. They can hear you perfectly. It doesn't matter if you're walking around that space and demonstrating, and at the same time, you don't have to do the full close-up facial, squash your face up against the camera screen.
And it's kind of like the whole thing about, when you're trying to coach someone, a huge aspect is obviously the program and the movement selection and all of your variables and how you apply that to them, that person. But a massive part of it, as we know, is building rapport, having good communication with that person, making them feel comfortable, etc. And things like, as you said, like the lighting or just having your head not quite on the screen while you're diving in on your laptop trying to see them. That's the type of thing that breaks the connection and, starts to make the session, less effective.
Yeah.
So they're just little hurdles that,
Programming is an interesting one as well, because that's all had to change quite a lot.
Yes.
Because you don't have access to all the equipment that you've got in a gym.
Yeah.
One of the biggest issues that I've noticed is just nowhere to fucking hang.
Yeah,
You
man.
can't do a chin-up.
Yeah.
And you don't realise how much you rely on a hanging bar just to build any strength in the back.
Mm.
I mean, you've got your rows and whatnot, but it's not quite the same, is it?
This is a good topic. Exercise selection with
A lot of
no
pushing.
gear. And
But look at yoga. Like, they don't hang at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of fun. I don't know. I think it's strange. Like, you're doing all of this push work, but there's no point where you're pulling. Or very rare.
I haven't.
That's
I've
supposed
done
to be
yoga
balance.
many times, but I don't know it well. But that's what it seems like from the outside. I'd love,
Seriously balanced.
out of our thousands of live listeners, could someone ring in and come at?
Come at me.
I'd like to know, but it's true. It's definitely true.
That's going to throw your chakras out big time.
Your chakras.
Chakra.
Once you can do a headstand, you're fine. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Well, on the exercise selection thing, can we talk about the like what we've had to do, and also like the issues, because there's problems in there. I know I've had some.
Floor space has been a big one.
Floor space, and this is for, say, your one-on-one or your group. Yeah, floor space has been a limitation. Not being able to hang from something, and if you're not sure what that means, it just means that, like, developing the back or anything to do with pulling, which is a major movement of the body, it's a challenge to kind of bridge that gap.
Yeah,
Ways around it.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, the one-on-one, it hasn't really been a problem because you just get a couple of sets of rings and just throw them up, and that's something to hang off. So that's fine for
If you're with them.
Yeah, if I'm with them, or I mean, even like a lot of the online guys that were in the small group who didn't have, they relied on the equipment here, and they've all basically, I think pretty much all of them have got their own gear now, so they've all got set of rings. Some of them bought other bits of equipment, like barbells and whatnot. But everybody has a set of rings. I think except one or two, but everyone pretty much has a set of rings. And once you have that, like, I mean, there's a lot you can do with that, just with rings and some floor space.
Yeah.
And obviously it's not perfect, but obviously we're hoping that we'll get out of this thing, soon, and that it's. I was sort of looking at it as like, it might be slightly longer than a phase of training, which typically goes for 6 weeks. So maybe say 8 weeks. Hopefully this thing might blow over and we can get back to training in small groups. But yeah, one-on-one, it's been no problem. But obviously in the class, in like the classes here, like it has been a problem. Obviously Joe put out the video of making the rowing apparatus out of the bed sheet, which is great. I mean, it's better. You still can't hang out of it, but well, you probably could if you got creative. But it's still better than nothing. You can still do it. You can still do a lot with that. So
You can hang off that.
yeah,
I haven't done it, but you can.
Yeah.
And if you're listening, the video he's talking about, Joe, and he didn't invent this, I think he says in the video, it's just a technique where you use a bed sheet and you fold it in such a way, make it a bit of a rope, and then you put a knot in it, and then you put it in through a doorway and you close the door so the knot's on one side and you get the length on the other side, and then you roll that up and you kind of got two handles and you can lean back on your heels, kind of use it as a pulling thing.
Yeah.
But like with any of those door like implements with the ropes, and you can buy them on Instagram, wherever, you can shorten that up right up to near the knot, like at the top of the door, and then you put your back against the door, and then you just like lift your knees to your chest, and you can actually hang off that. I've seen it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know
but
what I mean?
a lot of the I think a lot of the members here like have borrowed the equipment, so such as the rings, and anyone that had a space to hang them up in their house or at their back or whatever, they've borrowed a set of rings. So like, I don't know, we've got about 20, 25 sets of rings, so they've all gone out pretty much, bar one or two.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people, a lot of the members do have access to something, something to hang off. So that's been really important. Because you see there's a bunch of people who have rings and who can do all those pulling movements, even in these times. So that's good.
I got a question.
Yeah.
It is around people, say clients, and you might not have one specifically, but what would you do, that have certain goals, and that's their goal, and their goal, getting them to their goal means you need certain equipment that they can't access out of here. So yeah, you can find somewhere to hang, but they actually want to build a deadlift or something like this, a goal where they need the barbell in the gym.
Yeah.
How do you deal with, say, someone who wants to get their deadlift to double body weight and dealing with that person? I'll ask you, T. Like, what do you do in that case where it's like, okay, we can't do that. We can't do that goal for now. Or can you do that goal? Is there a way, or what would you do?
Well, I think when you've got a goal that's specific to a piece of equipment, and that's your primary kind of lift, something as specific as that, you can always accessorize for it, but I think it would be very difficult to put weight on a bar when you're not actually putting weight on a bar. If that makes sense.
To progress, yeah.
Yeah, looking like breaking down the lift or the goal into segments, and then focusing on those areas and thinking, all right, well, where are the weaker links in this chain, and then make that your kind of emphasis over a 6 to 8 week period, like you're talking about before, as with maybe this quarantine lasting 1 or 2 phases, and having those phases synchronized with your goal, but not necessarily. It's not going to have a direct impact on the goal, but it will increase the potential of that goal once you start to reintroduce yourself to the barbell or whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's kind of like saying, all right, I want to get better at surfing, but I can't get on a surfboard. There's plenty of stuff you can do to make your body good at surf, like stronger and fitter and can hold your breath for longer and all the stuff the muscles that you use. But the only way you're actually going to get better at surfing is to actually surf. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So I think you just got to look at the accessory work around that particular goal and focus on that, or even think about changing your goals for a small period of time.
Yeah, for sure. And you got to just see it for what it is. I'm lucky. I've got I've got clients that they know what Jungle Brothers is and what we do, and we train a variety of different things, fight, lift, move, and whatnot. So they're across the concept of something, just if something's not accessible to you, just flipping and training something else for a period, and that being a good thing in the end. But I imagine there's people out there who don't have clients who don't share that mentality, or they really identify with one particular sport.
Yeah,
be a harder conversation to have with your client. That's all.
For sure.
But
I think like our
how
style,
can I not?
Yeah, our style of training overall hasn't been affected a hell of a lot. Like most of the people that I'm coaching in class and in the bigger classes are still chasing down the same goals I had in the gym, because most of those goals are very they're dependent on maybe one bit of equipment or none. I mean, you don't need anything to get yourself a handstand. You need very little to get your first push up. You need just a chin up bar to get your first chin up. any of your like mobility goals, most of that stuff, you don't need anything. You just need your body and a floor. So if if you look at our goals board, it's all very doable within your own home, or find a fucking tree somewhere and hang some shit up on that. But which I think has been great because I'm watching people still pushing forward with the same goals they had at the gym, and I have a feeling that I think the people that are training regularly in our Zoom classes from our gym, I think are going to come back one step forward, and I think there's always going to be people that don't relate to training on a screen, and that's totally understandable. I mean, if you're on a computer all day and then you have to fucking look at the computer again when you're trying to do some exercise, and you're a part of a gym community that's very tactile and it's all about meeting people, you're probably very less inclined to want to exercise for a screen anyway, and then you go out and think, oh, I'm going to do my own thing, and you do your runs and you do your other stuff, but that particular individual is going to come back probably a step back, and the others will be a step forward, and I think there'll be a bit of a gap there. I think it's really important that if you do have access to the particular style of training that you're doing and to a coach, that you try to get yourself into that class or contact with that particular style of programming, once a week, twice a week, something just to stop things from regressing, and turning your training into a bit of a generic cycle where things aren't really moving in a direction of sorts, if you know what I mean.
I do.
So that would be like, if we're looking at pros for training online, you've got a good accountability. You've still got your community there, so you're seeing familiar faces and obviously coaches. The programming is there, so you've got that path that you're still travelling down, and you can still make progress over this time with good quality feedback. And I'd say, what would you guys look at as being the cons for online training as a whole? Probably not getting any tactile response. Still being stuck to a screen is a big one.
Yeah, but it's better than the alternative.
Yeah.
Not moving at all. Yeah, I mean, it's just the technology gap. There's usually training's difficult for people to do, generally speaking, and trying to seal up any gaps where they can miss a session or drop a set or just not go in with good intention, like all those little gaps. Just there's more gaps, and it's easier for someone to slip out. So there's a few more hurdles, things like that. It's harder, like you said, when they're meeting you at a certain place, at a certain time, like they're always going to make that accountability stronger, I suppose, rather than giving someone a program to do on their own.
Or even getting them to get onto a Zoom class.
Yeah, that's right.
Inconspicuous. Is that the word? You can kind of not be there and not be noticed that you're not there.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Slip under the radar a little easier.
Yeah. Cons of training online. Like you said, the feedback, the tactile feedback, or even hurdles.
Technological issues. There's been a few of those.
You haven't had any tea though.
Either have I.
No.
I think the big one is probably community. Is the community? Seeing especially coming to the gym, seeing your mates before class, training with your mates.
Yeah.
Just whatever. Just catching up with everyone, and then after class as well. Whereas in the online thing, it's although you're with everyone during the class, but when you leave the Zoom, when you leave that session, it's it's just you're by yourself. You're in your kitchen or your sitting room at the end of the day. So it's just not as good as coming to the gym and training. The music pumping and everyone's getting into it. So it's just not the same.
But there's a lot of intimacy there as well that you don't get online. Like those one-to-one conversations that people have, this is between members, between coaches and coaches, between coaches and members.
Yeah.
You can't really have that on the Zoom. Even though everyone can communicate with each other, I think it's because everyone can hear each other's voice. So you can't really have that private conversation, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's and then if there's too many people talking, it just sounds weird.
Yeah.
Whereas some people are thriving in this time and finding it's worked really, really well for them. Like, it's hard to say pros and cons because it's just, it's different for individuals. Like, I can think of one, like, there's a few people who have been able to train more because of the time they save.
Yeah, it just comes down to the individual. Like, you look
Yeah.
at, say, Beth and Dave, for example, who
That's
weren't able to get in because they just had a newborn.
That's
whereas now they're training like they're in a lot of my classes. They're probably doing 4 or 5 sessions, maybe even more a week. So
It's so good to hear. I haven't seen them in the morning.
they weren't able to do that before. So for them, it's obviously a massive positive change.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I know Nick's the same, Leonardo, because there's a travel thing for people. There's also like whatever, whether you live 2 kilometers away from our gym or not, or just one, just the getting ready, getting into the car and coming here takes 20 minutes, and that's 40 minutes in a round trip. And when you look at that for the mornings, people, it's all about 5:45 or not, because you need time to get ready and then travel to work. So it's you either make your 5:45 or that's it. But now 5:45 is empty, 6:45 is busy because everyone doesn't have that travel time.
Yeah.
So
it'll be interesting to see what comes of once the gyms reopen. I was speaking to someone who works for MindBody, and they got a survey out, and the surveys were just to gyms and gym owners and all the members in those gyms.
MindBody is a client management software for gyms and clubs.
Most gyms use it, or like a huge amount of gyms all over the world. And the information that came back from that was that 50% of all the people that filled out the survey wanted a combination of training in the gym and also training online.
Yeah.
So
they want it
all. Yeah.
Get out of it, you people.
But there's going to be a whole other. I think it's accelerated.
I
whole
think
area of the industry that was kind of plodding along, but now it's just gone into a new space.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. Yeah, I think it'll stick. I could see a lot of the people who work in the city. Could see a lot of them, doing a Zoom class on their lunch break, for example, or something like that. Because I go down to the park now, and I was in the park last week, one of the evenings, and there was like 6 people. I was on a basketball court, and there was 6 people spread around the basketball court, and they were all set up with their device. I was doing a face to face, but everybody else was doing a Zoom. Like they were doing a class that from the gym, and it was just mad. Like, so there was literally like 6 people going to the gym, but they were just all in the park.
Wow.
Mad, yeah. So I could see something like that, like a service like that, where people who are busy and a bit time poor,
or just prefer that style of
or
interaction.
would prefer to be outside rather than going into a gym, especially if they're cooked up in an office all day.
Yeah.
And then they want to go into a gym for that hour that they can go out for a walk or do something like that. It'd be good for those people to just go down to the park, set up their phone or whatever, and then they can get quality coaching and they can be brought through a session. But there's definitely going to be little avenues like that. I think that will stick.
I don't think a lot of people are going. When we open the doors to this gym, it would be foolish to think that everyone's just going to come running back in. And this is not even taking into consideration that a lot of people lost their jobs. I'm talking the fact that you just spent a lot of time away from big crowds of people, for a long time, and to go back into that, you're kind of you find your rhythm, and you're in a new kind of space, and you're like, I don't know if I want to be surrounded by fucking 30 people or 20 people. And then you've got the whole thing, there's still this fucking virus that's floating around. It hasn't disappeared. So a lot of people are going to be like, I don't know if I might just stick with, this is working for me now, the online thing and my programming, and I'm enjoying the outdoors, and it's still getting good results.
Yeah.
There's definitely a new avenue of our industry that's opening up, I believe.
Definitely.
Well, how we come back to doors open and having everyone back in here, that's the interesting one.
That transition.
It's going to be tough, and it needs some serious creative thinking. I know we've touched on it a little bit in our chats, but I want to really
continue to run our online
with people coming in
with a standard class if it's a cut-off point or whether we merge
Yes.
the two together.
Yes.
I'll
Yeah.
just follow you around with a camera
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
and a microphone.
Selfie stick the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult. And anyway, we need to get onto that, bro.
Fuck, yeah. What the hell do you do?
Is the announcement today, Gladys?
Yeah, I think it's
Gladdy B?
It's meant to be around lunchtime. Yeah.
She's gonna.
Fucking knows what
Yeah,
it
we
is.
might be reopening in a fortnight or something.
You know, the problem that I have with like a comment like, if you own a gym or a cafe, be ready to open. It doesn't mean anything, you know what I mean? There's no set date. What does open look like? Are we talking how many people can come in? When you say something like that, it affects business over a whole like scale. Let's say, look, because we've moved to this digital online platform, so we're now we're selling memberships again, and we need to because it's the only way our business goes survive. But when you get up and you say something like that, and it's so grey, what people do is like, well, fuck, I'm actually not gonna go into the online. I'm just gonna hold out because my gym's gonna be open soon.
Yeah.
But what is it? You know that doesn't
Well,
it doesn't
she's-
mean anything. You know what I mean? Like
But she's
you
coming.
can't have a
Yeah,
fucking fitness first open up again.
but that's just a
Cannot
bit of.
have 2,000 people
That's right.
a fucking day walking through a door in a place that shares the air conditioning when we're still in the middle of a quarantine. It's not possible.
She's not saying that for gym owners and cafes.
I thought she said that was for gym owners, Cafe.
No, she is, but she's not saying it with the interests of the gym owners and
yes.
cafes in
Yeah.
mind. She's saying it as a piece of political propaganda for the general public because she's just trying to appease attitudes, keep everyone the morale high. She's not thinking about us when she says it. She's thinking about the majority of people. Just generally, you know, it's like Trump. It's like Trump saying, "Oh yeah, we're probably going to be open in April."
In April.
You know, and he's got no idea, but you know, he's just trying to.
That's what he originally said.
You know.
Everyone's back to work by
The big arm by you said.
He is the hottest comedian going around right now.
Oh, man.
People think it's Louis C.K. or Dave Chappelle.
Trump.
He's just hot. He's hilarious.
Oh, God. Well, what takeaways for this? Let's say we're looking at different styles of people looking at wanting to move online. We've got your one-on-one that you can still do in your park, and I advise that would be for anyone that can afford it. That's your best option. You'd think, yeah.
Yeah.
Whether you're fit,
I'd
whether you're
agree.
just starting out, whether you're injured, specific goals cannot beat one-to-one coaching. I think in any area, especially if you've got the right coach. Then you've got your small groups that you're running. That can run. There's small. There'll be people out there taking small Zoom groups live, which I think is also awesome, and they have their benefits. And I think you could, if you're in that kind of general pop, area, they're perfect. If you want more specific style programming and you've got a little bit of training history, stuff that Az is doing, where the program is built for you and you've still got that coach's feedback, but you don't need your handheld as much, or that accountability thing, that's a really, really good place to be. Just to have those goals set and help with someone helping you set those goals and then holding you accountable to those goals. And then you've got the discipline to go out and do that training on your own. And then, of course, you've got your larger group sessions, which are probably a little more socially interactive, a few more faces that you can see. Still great coaching, not as specific to your personal goals, but if you go to the right gym, then they can be.
Absolutely.
That's kind of it, really. What else is there? That's the majority of what's floating around at the
Yeah,
moment.
and this is all with the idea that we're in a restrictive time where we can't all just be at gyms. So ultimately, you're choosing whatever the best option is to keep you moving through this time, because whether you have problems with technology or not, this is what we have, and it's important to keep moving, stay healthy for your physicality, for your mentality, for those around you, etc. So, having a coach or someone who can keep you accountable and make you have you using your time most effectively, like any one of those options with the coach and guidance is the way to go.
And even if your thing is training outdoors and you run and you do all that kind of stuff, like having someone help you with the structure of that training week and what you're doing within that running time, and how much you're running and what you're combining that run with, I think is really important. accessory work, for your mobility work and strength work and all that kind of stuff. So even if you're just touching base with someone once a week, still really worth it.
Absolutely.
And especially with so many people out there fucking running at the moment. I've seen, I can't believe how many people. I mean, it's good, kind of, but at the same time, some people that you watch, you're like, you shouldn't be running. You should be doing other things.
You were,
Yeah, definitely.
were you on the? Was it me and Joe on the podcast last week? I don't know, but Joe was ripping. He's been ripping us on his gram, or
It's been some terrible, terrible running stuff.
and it's always like, yeah, keep running. It's good that ultimately that you're out there and whatnot, but we have witnessed
Get strong to run.
some bad running.
So that would be your options. How do we get in touch with Aaron if we want to get some programming built for us or move into some one-to-one?
You can, I'm on Instagram. My business page is Move Strong Sydney, and then my personal page is @as_Howley. I'm posting stuff on there pretty regular. So just a message through to there, and then we can connect over email, and then that's it. It's a pretty straightforward setup.
Are you finding that you've got a specific kind of client, or you're obviously a well-rounded coach, and I've seen you coach people many walks of life, but is there anything in particular that you like to specialise in, or?
At the moment, I'm starting to get I wouldn't say I specialise in anything in particular. I would say I'm more of a general coach. Like I've some people that are, like fat loss is their main objective. Other people's mobility, other people's strength. Well, it's quite a wide. Other people handstands. Probably starting to see a bit more interest from like people, like sporting people now. So I've had a few people reach out to me, from like footballing sort of backgrounds, and maybe looking at they've got issues, whether it be tight hips or whatever hamstring issues that keep getting injured or some stuff like that. And I've had a few people reaching out to me, asking me just for some advice on that sort of stuff. And I'm working with a couple of people now from back home who are Gaelic footballers, and we're working on they've got. I was like that myself as well a few years ago, because there's no emphasis put on mobility or anything like that, so it's just all a lot of running and not really looking after your body too well, and not really doing any maintenance on your body. So the guys that I'm working with, I'm seeing like quite a lot of stiffness and quite a lot of imbalances, and so I'm starting to work a little bit. I think maybe starting to make a bit of a segue into that market. But I work with everyone. Yeah, whether it's, like I said, fat loss, strength, skills like handstands, anything like that. Yeah, happy to work with anyone.
Mad.
Yeah.
I heard you say stiffness. I help but think of. I see stiffness. I see McGregor.
Snap you like a board.
I see them all. I see stiffness.
Stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
Look at me doing an Irish accent.
How about the way that this thing's whole played out, like with the UFC? Just to go off track for a quick second, and having the most amazing card with the highest stack of all these amazing fighters. There's belts, there's heavyweights, there's all sorts of stuff, and like that's all happening this Sunday on Mother's Day.
Were you serious?
I
haven't heard of any of that.
Oh, dude, it's here too for night.
Yeah.
We got Francis Ngannou. We got Triple C versus
Ferguson and Gaethje that's the main event.
Oh,
There's
oh wow.
Yeah.
Well,
that's going to be a rip-up. In Vegas, I'm guessing.
Yes, I didn't even question that.
Quarantine
It's got to be in Vegas, but potentially not. But it's on Sunday during Mother's Day.
Mother's Day, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Sweden.
all I know is that when I'm not watching
all of us
yeah, it's not happening. It's not happening.
Do it on Mother's Day.
I know. Why do they mock us, the gods? Anyway.
Oh wow. Okay, so that's interesting.
His mind's already working. What can I? I'm working that day. I got to go and pick up. Yep. I'll be back in 4 hours, reeking of alcohol and chicken schnitzel from the pub. Okay, cool. Let's wrap it.
Our online, if you want to get in touch with us,
Yeah, get in touch with us.
we are running a full gym schedule.
Correct.
6 classes a day, online, 4K. We've got mic'd, lit, programming, everything, all here. You could be in Slovakia and you could train in Jungle Brothers Botany. How good is that?
Correct.
Yeah.
And then, if you want help
Train our staff.
with some private coaching or small group coaching,
Yeah.
you got Az's details. That was Move Strong Sydney. That's your Instagram.
Yeah, that's the Instagram. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, and Facebook the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
And your private account on Insta, Aaron_Howley.
As_Howley.
As AZ.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you've got the rest of the coaches here at the gym. You can check our
Doing the same
webpage.
thing.
Same thing. Check their profiles out.
One-to-one online, one-to-one small groups, and one-to-one in person.
Get in touch with us at junglebrothers.com. Fill out a form. We got our phone number there. Give us a call.
Yep.
Don't come by the gym
Yeah, no.
because you're not allowed.
Okay.
Not yet.
Maybe by the time this episode comes out,
True. Who knows?
could be. Probably not though.
Nice.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, bye.
Bye.